y'all, welcome back. I'm Shayna Cersei. I'm so excited to paint with you today. Today we're going to be doing another page in our watercolor journals. I know I've been on a series where I go through my Tour de Mont Blanc trip and paint a series of landscapes. We've done quite a few, or just a couple actually already, and I'm going to take a break from that today, but there'll be another video on Saturday this week. But we've already done a couple of beautiful landscapes, a black and white landscape, this beautiful flower. It was an ink and wash with a little cityscape in the background and a flower. This was the most recent video. So if you haven't seen these and you're interested in landscapes and following this trip through Italy, Switzerland, and France, go ahead and follow that playlist. This is the one that's going to be on Saturday that you'll get to see. But today we're just going to do a simple ink and wash floral because I am itching to do something not from a reference. So all of these here are from reference photos on the trip, and this will just be from my imagination. And we're going to keep it pretty simple. And sometimes in your watercolor journals, you just want to keep it simple, do something from imagination, not overthink it too much, and just play and practice. And you can do that lots and lots of different ways. So I'm going to clean off this little palette here. So this is from my last painting, and normally I would save colors or reuse them, but I just need a little space on here, so I'm going to clean this off. So for supplies and materials, I'm using a 6x9 Bauhong sketchbook or watercolor book. This is 100% cotton paper, 140-pound cold press. I have my Core mini palette, Core watercolor paints. This is my mini palette here. Here are all the colors that come in that. By Golden is the brand. And then I also have a size 10 Princeton Velvet Touch brush. And I also have a size 4 here, but I don't think I'm going to need that. I think I'm just going to use the size 10 today. And I'm going to be doing some simple shapes. And then overlaying that with some drawing, some floral drawing. So I'm going to be doing, playing with some color, doing some circles, maybe some geometric shapes, keeping it a little abstract in the background. And then I'm going to overlay it with some ink, which I have my Lamy pen here. This particular Lamy is a fountain pen. It has waterproof ink in it, but I had to put that ink in. It didn't come with that. You do have cartridges you can interchange in there. But I also use Micron pens a lot, and those are really great. And I used them for a long, long time before I discovered the Lamy pens. So either one of these are both archival and waterproof. The ink that I use for my Lamy pen is this carbon ink, which you can find in the link in the description. So all supplies and materials you should be able to find in the link in the description. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. There we go. So you can see my whole palette. And I have somehow got streaks of little bits of ink on there. You know what? I'm not going to stress about it. I'm going to paint right over them. It's from when I held that box of ink over my thing. Okay. I am going to do some muted colors here because I love me some muted colors. So I'm going to take my Phthalo blue green shade, and I'm actually going to add just a little Payne's gray to it and give it more of a dull gray color. And then I'm also going to take my green. You know, I think, so I have sap green here. I'm also going to add a little Payne's gray to this. So I'm going to shade all of these. And let's go with, we'll go with magenta. So blue, green, and add a little, well, that was a lot of Payne's gray. I need a lot more magenta now. There we go. So these three colors seem fun. I'm going to add a little bit, I'm actually going to add a little bit of nickel azo yellow to this to make it more of a red, like a burgundy color. So I added a little yellow to that red. And you know, I have a purple in here. I actually don't like this red with these. I'm gonna go purple. So I'm just adding purple to this. So let's start from the beginning, just so you guys can follow along. So I have a Dioxazine purple. I don't want the color mixing to be too complicated. Dioxazine purple, and if I add a little yellow to this, it's gonna mute it a little bit. There we go. Lovely. So we have 3 kind of muted colors. These I used Payne's Gray and added Payne's Gray to them. And this one was Dioxazine Purple, and I added a little yellow, which is the complementary color to it, which will always mute the color a little bit. And I'm going to take this. Do I want to go this way? Yeah, we'll go this way. I'm going to make, and this is a great way to practice having kind of flat wash areas when you have to make everything kind of even. So having 100% cotton paper helps. So I'm just going to paint out a bunch of circles here. And basically I'm going to go slow. I'm going to overlap some of them. I'm going to connect them in some way, but just creating kind of a fun little bubbly background. You could certainly, I don't want to overlap them yet until this first layer dries. I was going to say something else. You could certainly, what? I don't remember. Another blue one over here. I'm gonna vary the shape, or not the shapes, I'm gonna vary the sizes. I think we're gonna do all circles. I was gonna say you could certainly make this less flat of an experience, like you don't want them to be all even and flat in tone, and you could add gradients to them. You could add just dollops of color, like after you put it in, throw in some more color or some water to give it more of that watercolor unique kind of look. To make some more blue here. Oh, that was a lot. I have to add a lot more water to this to get back to that color. We'll get there. So I'm just letting these dry. They're pretty close. This one I think is pretty dry. So this is where I'm going to start to overlap. And something like this, where it's abstract and you're not worried about, we're just painting circles. We're painting circles over and over again. You can kind of focus more on composition and creating something that feels balanced and put together. And that takes practice, just looking at something, going slow. And at the end of the day, does it feel balanced? Does it feel intentional? Maybe you're trying to communicate some type of movement. I'm just trying to create a pretty background to fill the space. I do want it to feel balanced and connected in some way. So I think I'm going to do something big right here, but I don't know what yet. It's okay to pause and like kind of take a step back or even walk away and come back to it and look. I need something here to kind of connect all of this. I am going to put flowers over the top of it like this. I'm going to do like, I think one big blue one here, but only fill up like this space and then add some of these purple ones. And I think I'm going to have the whole design kind of be heavier on top and lighter on the bottom to kind of mimic the shape of the flowers, which I have a heavier tops and then they kind of come down to their stem area. So I think this is dry enough. And I'm going to do some small, because all my blue ones are larger. I'm going to go a little smaller down here. I should let that one dry a little bit more. These two. You could leave them wet and let them kind of bleed into each other. That can be really fun too. Let me... Okay. We're gonna go, what did we do with this one? Purple, Dioxazine purple. Which you can see this core palette, I barely have to touch these colors. So I just, and they're super saturated. Like, look at that, that's amazing. Which I love. Sometimes they can be a little unwieldy, like I just barely touched that yellow and it was a lot more than I needed. And now I have to add a lot of water because it's so saturated. I need a much lighter version of that color. There we go. So I'd say when you have a big puddle of super concentrated stuff that is like, and you need to get very light, instead of trying to make the whole thing lighter, I just take a little portion of it over here and then add a bunch of water to that and you can get there a little faster. All right, that's still wet. Come down here. Actually went a little too light. I'm gonna do another green one right down there, like at the bottom, bringing it all the way to the bottom. But I definitely want to add some green here. Just waiting for that section to dry. So green and a little Payne's gray. A little more Payne's gray. And if you're impatient, you can definitely use a heat tool to dry things. So I have this great little heat tool here. Again, links in supplies and materials in the description if you're looking for something similar. But you know, $15, I think, and it's a workhorse. It's more hot than like a blow dryer, but it has less acceleration, or so it doesn't move the paint as much as a blow dryer, but you could definitely use a blow dryer on low velocity. Okay, all right, we're gonna be just about done with this portion of it because I think I'm getting a little carried away, a little bit of a lot going on, but it's fun. I mean, you could just paint a whole page of these. And then we could even go and, you know, actually, let's use our little tiny brush. You could stick with the big brush, but I'm gonna actually make a bunch of tiny circles up here, kind of spraying off into the distance. I'm going to do all 3 colors. All right, and once we finish this up, we're going to move to ink. I'm going to overlap 1 or 2 with this just to connect them. And now I also feel like I need a few on this side. And we'll add blue over here. I'm trying to get smaller and smaller as we move away. Make slightly bigger. And this one's kind of curving away this way, and I'm going to try to curve this one up this way a little bit. And again, you could just play with this, like circles and design like this all day long. But we're going to add some ink over top of it. Add a few more in here. Some of these aren't as round as I would like them, so I'm just kind of going back over them, making sure they have that round shape. I feel like I just have to add a few. Now I'm definitely getting carried away of these purple ones. Up here. Okay, I'm gonna let that lie, and we are now gonna add our ink over top. So go ahead and grab your ink pen, whatever that is. Now, it does not have to be waterproof, as long as you're not, you're not gonna go back and add any water to this painting. But I still like to use waterproof. I haven't used this pen in a while, so let's make sure it works. I have just a little bit of sketch paper here. There we go. Yep, it's working well. And now right over top of this, you want to make sure everything is dry. So again, you can use your hand tool if you're impatient, or you can walk away and come back to it. We are going to add some beautiful flowers. So I'm just going to go right over top of this. I'm going to put a flower here. This is going to be the center of the flower. And I'm going to put one over here a little bit higher up. And so I'm giving it like this textured round center, and you can see I'm kind of just scribbling my way in there around the edges. These are going to be kind of daisy-like flowers, Gerber daisy. And then I'm actually gonna give it layers. So if you can see that here, this little round one isn't completely dry. And even though I'm using waterproof ink, if what's down here isn't dry, as you touch ink to it, it's gonna bleed. So that one is gonna bleed a little bit. I'm gonna try to avoid that area. These are all dry. Those were some of the last ones I put down and I didn't give them enough time. So these petals, they're gonna come up, they're gonna be slightly narrower towards the bottom and kind of squarish shaped at the top. Like not almond or rounded off too much. If you look at like a true daisy shape, I'll leave some wonky gaps. And then I'm actually gonna put a second layer behind it. Almost like, what would these be? It'll come to me. Not petunias, that's definitely not even close. It's, I'm gonna have to look it up. See, that one is very wet still, and you can see the bleed there. I'm just gonna embrace it. And we can even put a few like in a third layer. I don't want to get too big here. All right, so that is one. I'm going to do the other one as well. I'm going to use this just to make sure everything else is dry. All right, there we go. And we're going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to see how it looks. I'm going to leave a few more gaps in this kind of first layer and make them varying heights. There, so giving it a real kind of wonky feel. It's hard not to be too perfect with florals. You want them to, the more imperfect they are, honestly, the more realistic they look. We're going to add some texture to these as well with our ink. Just getting the overall shape in there. Now basically I'm just going out from the center, adding some texture lines here that represent like little creases and folds in the petals of the flower. Maybe adding a little more ink in between a couple of the petals, representing like a shadow, or creating a little bit of a shadow and depth. Little contrast. You can go from the tops of the petals down as well, especially these ones that are behind. And then we just have to do leaves and stems. So I'm going to bring my stems down this way. So we have these really nice, pretty flowers. I love doing this kind of design or drawing. You can do whatever kind of leaves you want. You can leave leaves out. I'm going to do like a 3. pronged leaf here. Over here, I'll just do a long, skinny. I like this addition of these little bits here. I really do, actually. It kind of reminds me of like the dandelion fluff, the seeds that kind of fly off into the wind. Even though these aren't those type of that flower, but that's fine. And I feel like I want to add some ink up there somehow, but I don't know what or why, or just leave it. I should probably just leave it, but you know what? I'm going to circle a couple of them, so they're going to feel a little bit more prominent. I'm going to keep it pretty spread out. And you know what? Let's leave some open circles too, with no color in them. And then we can just do some dots. There we go. Okay. Our beautiful, fun ink and wash floral design. So flowers and ink, abstract, just circle shapes in the background, super easy, had fun with color. I've done things similar to this before and I always enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed this one too. And I'll see you back hopefully on Saturday. You'll come back for our Tour de Mont Blanc painting. Don't forget to check out the description for links to supplies and materials. Go ahead and like and this video, follow the channel if you want to come back and see more, and feel free to leave a comment and share with a friend. All right, y'all, take care, happy painting, and I'll see you soon.